What's up, guys? It's John, and it is time for another Q&A Sunday, the show where I answer your gun and gear questions from all over social media. Every week, I give away a small prize pack to the person that submits the best question that you guys voted on, and last week's winner was Color Me Southern on Instagram for his question about a homegrown jihad. You guys really enjoyed that question. There was a lot of talk about it, a lot of interaction, so that is the win for last week. Color Me Southern, get your info to me as soon as you can and I'll get you out a prize pack. So before we get into the questions this week, I want to give you guys a quick little update on the channel and where things are going. Right now, we are very close to having imwithchaos.com finished. It's up now. There's an older version of it that I just threw together and put up there. You can go look at it if you want, but it's not entertaining. What's going to be cool is hopefully by the end of October, I'll have something to share with you guys for that website. So I'm really excited about that. You guys have been really supportive so far, especially on videos like this Q&A Sunday. You guys really seem to enjoy it, so I'm going to keep doing it. So as far as videos go, what's coming, what's in the pipe? Well, I've got a couple compensated reviews for AR-15s. I have some tactical gear reviews, a trigger review, and Lord knows what else. We're going to go back to Lehigh Valley Sporting Clays very soon and get that video to you guys. Lots of shotgun stuff, a few of my personal gun reviews, all kinds of good stuff coming. So keep an eye out for that stuff, guys. Also keep an eye out for imwithchaos.com. Another quick note, we hit $250 a month on the Patreon campaign. So high five to those of you out there that support that. I can't thank you enough. It's been really cool to see some of you guys come out and really support what I do and help me grow beyond that. As you know, the main goal there is to grow what I do. Not buy guns, not buy gear, which is what some people, for whatever reason, thought. The goal is to expand and get better for you guys to keep bringing out awesome content. So for those of you that believe in what I do and want to support it with your hard-earned money, that's awesome. High five again for that. Link is in the description if you have no idea what I'm talking about, so go check that out, patreon.com/imwithchaos. Now, moving on to this week's question. Our first question this week is from Harrison T. Jones on Instagram, and he wanted to know what is the cheapest way to get into 510 Whisper. And for those of you that don't know what that is, hit Wikipedia. 510 Whisper is a really cool Wildcat cartridge that is basically shooting a 50 BMG bullet, which is actually a 510 diameter, at subsonic speeds, and it's really cool ballistically. However, it is super complex to make. Now, Harrison, there is no such thing as cheap and 510 Whisper. When you get into cartridges like that, there's no way to do it cheap. I found out when I went to Lehigh Defense and actually held one of those rounds in my hand that you not only have to machine the outside of the brass to create that shoulder instead of necking it in, you actually also have to mill the inside of the brass to fit the bullet. Now, if you don't have the capability to do that, there's no reason to be shooting that, because getting a hold of that brass, it's just going to be absurdly expensive. Now, if you're willing to put the time and effort and money into it to have some fun with a gigantic bullet, be my guest. Please bring it over and I'll put it on the channel, because right now there's no way that I would get into something like that, because it's so time-consuming and really expensive. So again, there is no such thing as cheap and 510 Whisper. Our next question this week is from Facebook user Stephen Miller, and he wanted to know how Adam Pini and I got to know each other. Well, it's kind of a funny story, and this is similar to how I've met a few people through YouTube. Adam subscribed to my channel years ago, and I saw in his little profile picture at the time that he was holding a shotgun. So, being me, oh cool, a shotgun. So I clicked on his thing and went over to his channel and saw that he was actually shooting at a range that I had been to really recently prior to that day. And I said, hey dude, is that Omalandin, which is the name of the range? It's actually where I shot the trap instructional video and the skeet instructional video. And he says, yeah, that's it. So, long story shorter, we got together, decided to shoot, and now you see him all the time, and his career has really taken off, and we've become great friends. So, that's kind of how I've met a lot of cool people through YouTube. I mean, when I say it's afforded me some incredible opportunities, I'm not kidding. I've met some of my closest friends through what I do right here on YouTube. To give you an example, I talk to Pini all the time, you guys know that. But I talk to the guys from 4Guys Guns all the time. I talk to Ebbs from House of Guns all the time. And there are so many other people that I speak to on a regular basis. And the only way that I got to know them was through right here on YouTube. It's awesome. And speaking of YouTube, Martin Guthrie wanted to know if I clean or inspect my guns prior to shooting them. Now, obviously, if I'm buying a used gun, which I have not done in a very, very long time, yeah, I'll inspect it, but I'll do that prior to purchase. And if it's really, really filthy, yeah, I'll clean it. But 9 times out of 10, especially with new guns, I don't clean them. I take them out and I run them hard. I don't clean my guns very often because I want to know where the failure points are. I'm in the business of testing and reviewing guns and finding out what works and what doesn't work. So I'm testing the limits of things on a regular basis. Whether it's cleaners, the actual guns, ammunition, whatever, I'm out there trying to find the breaking point, so to speak. And a lot of times that involves not cleaning. Now, will I do that to demonstrate cleaning products and such? Of course, I've done that recently. But do I do it with new guns? No. I've got a Beretta 1301 ready to go, and there's no chance in hell that I'm going to take it apart and clean it prior to shooting it. I want that thing to come out of the box and work, because if it doesn't, then I'm not sure I want to own it. I think it's really important for guns to work as they come from the factory. An exception to that may be something like a Mosin Nagant or a Russian surplus gun that's been dunked in Cosmoline, and there's literally stuff in the bore and things like that, but I don't typically shoot those guns. I'm not going to buy one anytime soon, so I have no worry about cleaning that type of gun. So this next question is actually one that isn't from one specific person, because I constantly get asked this question. Every single week when I ask you guys to submit questions, this is something that comes up. Best budget blank. Whether it's a handgun, a holster, a light, a scope, whatever, AR-15s, you name it, I get asked about it on a weekly basis. Now, I know I'm going to keep getting asked about it because not everybody has the chance to watch all of the videos. However, I'll take a minute and kind of address my thoughts on that whole prospect. I am a firm believer of not being a cheapskate when it comes to things like firearms. The only thing I cheap out on is ammo, because I want my guns to run cheap crap ammo, as well as the good stuff. Cheap optics, cheap lights, and generally cheap accessories are cheap for a reason. Now, there are exceptions to that rule, and if I think it's a good cheap product, I may show it off on the channel or mention it in a live chat or whatever. But generally, I don't get into the cheap and budget stuff because I think it's kind of crappy. I don't like the idea of barely scraping by, which is kind of, to me, what budget means. You know, it almost, to me, sounds like you're cheaping out on stuff, and I don't like that. I think that it's important to save up a little bit more and then purchase something that's a little bit better, because 9 times out of 10, your money will go a lot farther. I had a question a few weeks back, I think it was episode number 12 of Q&A Sunday. I answered a question about budget ARs and how I think you could probably build one for around $1,000 that would be better than one you bought off the shelf for that same amount of money. And this is a really complex topic because there are so many exceptions and things that are terrible and great and whatever, but as a general rule, don't cheap out. You want your money to go a long way. You worked hard to get that money. So save it up and buy something that's nice, right? Makes sense to me. So our last question this week is one that I'm actually going to read off of Instagram because it had some complexity to it and I thought the whole thing was necessary. So here we go. It's from user Barthach on Instagram, and he said, "We often blame mental conditions for shootings that are widely publicized." True. We as gun advocates say it's the mentally ill person and not the gun that is the problem. Also true. We say something must be done to fix that. In recent years, there is some new legislation that is proposed to limit mentally ill people from having guns. But often gun magazines, blogs, YouTube gun channels oppose these measures. I've noticed some contradicting feelings and remarks in regards to dealing with limiting potentially mentally unsafe people from getting guns. Have you noticed or seen this? Your thoughts? Now, I will say this. I think we can wholeheartedly agree that there is a big mental health problem in the United States. This is a very, very complex topic. It's not just as easy as saying, let's make the background checks stronger. You can't do that. You can't make a blanket statement and hope that it fixes this. I think the reason so many people oppose it is because that's a very, very slippery slope. I think people are most afraid of that getting blown out of proportion and limiting people on a much more massive scale than intended because of some very light issues like depression. You know, not everybody that has depression or has been diagnosed with some sort of light mental illness is going to be somebody that's going to go psychopath. So there's got to be a lot more attention on the mental health system in the US rather than the background checks and legislating that into gun regulations. Instead of getting the people the help they need to make them better people, there's just an effort to, or a desire to, prevent them from getting guns. And that's kind of a backwards way of thinking about it. You know, instead of limiting them from doing stuff, we should help them get better, right? I mean, that's the way we need to look at it. That's the positive, best way to look at it in the US. Now, like a lot of gun regulation arguments, there's a lot of complexity that goes into these things, and maybe I didn't touch on that, but if you guys want to interject more, please leave a comment. We'll have a conversation about it. I love interacting with you guys and talking about these topics. So if you think I'm an idiot for saying that or whatever, you want to comment, do it down below. That is it for this week's Q&A Sunday. Just like every week, drop a comment down below and vote for your favorite question from this week's show. And you can also submit your own in that very same comment section. That's where a lot of our communication happens, so go ahead and leave that down below. If you enjoyed this video, give it the old thumbs up, subscribe, and as always, guys, thank you all for watching. We'll see you soon. Remember, guys, you can support the channel more by going to patreon.com/I'mWithChaos.